Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Yes, Pilgrims, this is the Missing Links Golf Show, and this episode, Andy Walker, is huge.
Yes.
Welcome back.
It is epic. This episode, we have so much to talk to the Pilgrims about. The last week or so, of course, last week was our interview with Michael Leonard, which was just awesome. I don't even know if I've got time to talk about the conversation with Michael Leonard because we've just got so much stuff to talk about.
No, we do. I listened to it again today, this afternoon, as a matter of fact, as I was hitting some balls in the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central West.
Nice.
Listening to the dulcet tones of Michael Leonard, I jotted a few notes down we're going to talk about later because it's relevant, I think, to some of the topics on our list. But whilst we don't necessarily have time to talk about that interview because we have got so much to get through, I do want to hear one of the voices of one of our Pilgrims who did talk about the interview with Michael Leonard.
Okay.
Good friend of the show, Paul from Sydney.
Yep.
Says this, and I quote, "Great pod." Like,
yes,
almost shouting, "Great pod. Really enjoyed it. Amazing golf and life advice. So relatable in so many ways. Really highlights the power of narrative. He came across so balanced and measured for a corgi lover."
For a corgi lover. Okay.
For a corgi lover.
He's obviously done some research on Michael Leonard.
Yeah, someone's clicked on the link to the website, I would say. But yeah, honestly, so much quality information was in that interview. It's not funny. And it was entertaining to listen to.
Yeah. And even sort of further to that, I've actually now enrolled in the Wicked Smart Golf Academy. So I enrolled in Michael's program and really looking forward to going through that over the next few weeks and few months. So I've got a bit of education to get through. Mental golf type, I'm still working my way through mental golf type. Now Wicked Smart Golf Academy. So yeah, I'll be an expert by the time I'm done in a couple of months' time.
You'll be playing some Wicked Smart golf, Andy Walker. No doubt about it.
Although have I done that already?
Oh, so much to
this
unpack.
Is the question.
This is huge. This is huge. We'll be saying that phrase a lot tonight, I think.
Yes.
But speaking of things that are huge, Andy Walker, a huge moment in your golfing journey, a topic that we have been talking about for quite some time. I don't want to use the phrase, "I told you so." But I do believe that very early on in the journey, in the pilgrimage of this podcast, I may have suggested that you undertake a little bit of a examination of your equipment.
Yes. And I did examine my equipment. Actually, had someone else examine my equipment as well.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not a euphemism.
But yes, and obviously golf club fitting, and I alluded to it a couple of weeks ago. And it's something that has been, well, not really in the back of my mind, in the forefront of my mind, that it's something that would be a pretty big advantage. So I did take the time to go and get a fitting with Titleist a couple of weeks ago.
That is exciting.
Yeah, and wow, what a great experience it was. Now, it was only a like driver, fairway, and my driving iron. So I had those three clubs in mind. Mainly, and driving iron mainly because I had a 3 driving iron, and I wanted to understand if there was a better option from a hybrid. And we've talked about hybrids previously. And
I think even Dave McClellan may have suggested that you get an 11 hybrid or something like that at one point.
Something like that it was. I don't think that was ever going to happen, but hey, it was food for thought.
Yeah.
But no, I went to Thornley Golf Center, and I mean, an amazing place that is.
Yeah, right.
It's actually in each bay. You've actually got a launch monitor. So
Now we're
you
talking.
stand up, yeah, you stand up, you put your balls in this well, it's a like a ball. It's not a retriever, but it sort of places your ball on a tee for you. So
So
it's all
so many
automated.
answers I could have given you there.
Yeah.
Family
And
show,
then yeah,
people. Family
it
show.
is a family show where
Yeah.
yeah, we do have a clean rating.
Yeah.
So you get up on your screen, it's yeah, 30 odd centimeter screen, and you choose your target, you choose the club that you're hitting,
Mm,
and away you go. It gives you all your stats. It was really, really amazing. And every single bay, well,
that's
certainly
cool.
every single bay that I could see has one of these launch monitors. So yeah, so I just spent my warm up just playing a bit of a play around with the launch monitor and enjoying the process. But yeah, then came my time, 10 a.m. I think it was, to be able to get driver, fairway, and potentially a hybrid fitted.
Mm.
And yeah, went through quite a lot of options. Now I won't sort of talk about it in depth because I have asked the Titleist rep, Jason, to come on the show so we can sort of talk about it
How good would that be?
in a lot more depth and go into some of the details. So yeah, he's agreed to do that. So maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll get Jason on the show.
For all the
Um,
golf nerds out there like us who are
yes,
interested in
yeah,
the ins and outs of what happens in fitting and maybe some of the insights from a trained fitter, I think would be
yes,
great.
yes. But certainly he identified pretty quickly that the TSR 3 was
Mm.
the club head for me from a driver perspective. So and then it was just playing around with different shafts. And we ended up going with a hazardous stiff shaft, but it's
Oh,
actually
hazardous. Okay.
yeah, it's half an inch shorter.
Ah,
So it's 45 inches, not the standard 45 and a half, which was quite interesting. And you hit that really, really well. So I was really happy with that. Getting that out there probably sort of 265, 270 meters, which I was
pretty good.
pretty
It's
happy
pretty
with.
good.
Had a
So what's that
swing
translate to for yards?
for yards. It's sort
Just
of
in
in the
quick.
290 something,
Yeah,
the
I
early
mean,
290s.
that's that's adequate.
Yeah, so swing speed and this is all TrackMan data, so it's pretty accurate. Swing speed with the TrackMan.
So 265 is 290,
Well, there you go. Yeah,
basically.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So in
289.8 or something. Yeah.
yeah, so when you're getting up to sort of 270, that's sort of mid 200
Mm.
mid 290s. So
Mm.
yeah, so we and with the TrackMan data, my average swing speed with the driver was 111 miles per hour. So
The stack.
Jason did mention that current this year, the average swing speed on tour is 114
It's
miles
pretty
per hour.
close.
So I'm there or thereabouts, and
It's
I don't
pretty
know,
close. It's not bad for a 51-year-old bloke.
just yeah, I walked away going, you know what, I'm actually a bit closer than what I thought. I mean, I thought I was more sort of in the mid sort of 100 to 110, sort of somewhere
So
in that vicinity.
did he tell you what the average swing speed was or club head speed was on the seniors tour, on the champions tour?
No, no, we actually didn't talk about that. Yeah, it was mainly sort of just sort of direct comparison with PGA Tour. Obviously, I mean, it's a natural comparison.
Could be the
Um,
Bryson of the champions tour.
potentially.
How good's that?
So yeah, so after driver, we had a bit of a play around with a 3 fairway. But
Mm.
the problem with the 3 fairway and what Jason said to me was, what are your distances? What do you want to hit? Like what are you looking for? And I hit the M3, the TaylorMade M3 around the 225 mark. And I said, look, I'm probably just after something about the same.
Mm.
If I'm going to be hitting a driver 265, 270, then I'm happy to have a fairway at about the same because what I was finding is with a driver only getting out about 250, and then having sort of 225, 230 for my tailor-made M3 three fairway, it just
Mm.
wasn't, there wasn't enough.
Not enough gap. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a big gap between the three fairway and my three driving iron. And that's where I found I was struggling a bit, is that there was a
Yeah.
huge gap. Well, the three fairway, three driving iron was going about 200. If I
Mm.
really sort of, got it out there about 205, and then I was sort of, the 225 to 230 with the three fairway. So I said to Jason, look, if I can get sort of 225 to 230, that's great. So we ended up settling on a four fairway, which
Nice.
I was a little bit surprised about. So
It's
16 and a half
unusual,
degrees.
but it's good.
Yeah, but same shaft, the hazardous stiff shaft that's half an inch shorter
Mm.
than standard.
Is that
So
because you've
then
shrunk, Andy Walker, in your old age?
potentially.
Yeah.
No, it's because with a shorter length driver, you actually gain more control.
Mm.
It actually stiffens the shaft a little bit, but then you
Mm.
get a lot more control with a half an inch shorter. And it's interesting the difference it made. It was actually, it was more. There was, the difference was greater than what I anticipated it to be.
Yeah, right.
So then,
Difference in terms of dispersion you're talking about?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So we ended up sort of settling. It was my average with the four fairway was 230, which was
Perfect.
great. Then we started talking about what I wanted out of or instead of the three driving iron. And I said I'd never hit a hybrid, want to go down the track of just testing hybrids. Gave me a hit of a couple of hybrids, and I just didn't like it. It's just
Yeah,
going,
see,
this
that's
is
interesting.
just not
What was it that you didn't like? The look of it, the
um
feel of it? Uh,
well, A and B. But second, the third thing that I wasn't a massive fan of is with my driving iron, I can, and while I wouldn't call it a stinger, it's a sort of stinger type of shot that
mm.
I can hit with the three driving iron, and I just couldn't hit it. I couldn't hit that with a hybrid. So I
Mm.
probably only hit half a dozen shots with it and just went, no, like
Ballooning a
this
little bit on you.
this isn't going to work. So
See,
that.
because it's about the hybrid's an approach club, whereas you're
Mm.
kind of looking for a tee box club, aren't you? And
Yeah,
you're
yes, but what I also struggle with the driving iron was say on a par five, if
mm.
I missed the fairway, not going to get a three fairway out of reasonably long sort
Mm.
of or first cut of rough, but it's really difficult also to get a long iron out of it.
Mm.
So what I wanted a hybrid for was if I missed the fairway on a par five, I would still be able to get it up pretty close to the green
Mm.
for my second, rather than having to only chunk a five or a six iron out of this for the semi long rough. So that was the whole point of trying to find a hybrid. But I just didn't like it. I've got to be honest. I just didn't. It didn't work for what I
Okay.
was after in that club. So anyway, Jason has just given me another club, and I sort of looked at it, and it sort of saw on the back, and I said, "Well, what's this?" And he said, "It's a utility iron." I'm
Mm.
like, "Oh," I said, "What's that?" He goes, "So it's like an iron, but it's got a chunkier sole, so it's quite wide
Mm.
on the sole, almost like bounce. It
Mm.
is on, well, probably is. You could classify it as bounce on the bottom of the club."
Kind of like
Um,
a game improvement iron. And you
well, maybe could be classed as that, but
will.
yeah. Anyway, I sort of went, oh yeah, it actually looks reasonably good, and anyway, I hit three shots with it, and just like flush, 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 and I turned around and I said, "This is mine."
Mm.
God,
You're
I
not
love it.
having it back. Yeah, that's
And
cool.
after that, then I tried my little sort of stinger drive like I would with the three driving iron, and it perfect. And I went, wow, I had not even remotely considered getting a utility iron. So it's the U505
Mm.
utility iron with the same hazardous shaft in it. And yeah, it was just a really, really, really good process. So anyway,
Awesome.
put the order into Thornley Golf Centre. They gave me an awesome price. Like their service was top notch. I was really, really happy with the price that they gave.
Mm,
They don't do trade-ins. However, the
mm.
guy behind the counter said, "Oh, look, I sell clubs on eBay. So I'm happy to sell you 3 clubs for you on eBay, and I'll just transfer the money across." So I went, "All right, yep, no worries." So not only because I that's what I was going to do, I would have just sold them on Marketplace or Gumtree or something
Mm.
like that. But anyway, they're doing it for me and facilitating
Easy.
the whole process. So it was a
Perfect.
really, really, really good experience. I was really impressed with the process. So yeah, that's sort of I've made the decision that that's phase one.
Mm.
And there is, and this might be a little bit down the track, but there'll certainly be a phase two of moving away, well, not moving away from the AP2s, but upgrading the AP2s. I really like the AP2s. They're a great iron, but I also have had a hit of the T150s, and the T150s are mint. So I reckon I might be
Nice.
upgrading to the T150s as well.
You have been solidly bitten by the equipment upgrade bug, Andy Walker. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. Yeah, but
And
I,
I
I
think,
I just need to save a bit more money to be able to
don't
upgrade
we
the irons
all?
as well.
Don't we all?
Mm.
Um, that's
So it
amazing.
Yeah, so it was quite interesting, and then obviously wedges, and I know sort of you're sort of looking at upgrading wedges
Mm,
as well. So that I've got
mm.
Vokey wedges, so they'll get upgraded at some stage. But quite interesting, something that I was very unexpected at Thornley Golf Centre is there a certified lab putter fitter?
Ooh, now this is interesting.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a yak to the guys there about lab putting. I said, so because I know with
Well,
lab
this
putting,
is
you
right
actually,
up your alley too. Like
yeah,
this is
absolutely,
so far up
100%.
your alley. It's not funny. Yeah,
And I said to them that because they didn't have a broomy there, they just had the standard length
yeah.
putters, and I said to them, "Oh, so do you guys do the full fitting?" And they're like, "Yeah, we absolutely 100% do the full fitting." I said, "So you're gonna get like some broomies in?" He goes, "Oh, we've ordered them and they're coming next week." It's not going to be
Oh,
here. So anyway, that's also, and look,
oh.
I'm not going to upgrade the Ping B90. That's
Are
working
you
pretty
sure
well at
about
the
that?
moment. No, no, I'm not. I'm not. But certainly that's also on the agenda. So I've now got a Christmas list that I'm pretty keen to get through. Probably, maybe over the next 12 months, I'll upgrade sort of one at a time.
Father's Day's coming as well.
Yes, it is my
I mean, to be
birthday.
honest, Mother's Day is coming a lot sooner than Father's Day is coming.
Correct.
Anyway, you know
Correct.
what I mean? Oh, so much in that. And I do want to say this is great news.
Mm.
I also want to say I'm so happy to hear that you didn't go into too much detail because we're going to get the fitter on the show as we tick over 19 minutes into the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it
Do
as
you
you probably
think?
can. Yeah, yeah,
Do
you
you
think.
think? But this is the
Um,
this Pilgrims. This is I kid you not. Andy Walker is experiencing. I've had this myself. He's experiencing the post fitting glow. It is one of the best things that
yeah,
you'll ever do. It is so much fun.
it
You
is.
get to go and muck around with all of these incredible clubs, with the launch monitor, with someone that knows what they're on about,
Yeah. And
and you
and that's
see
part of it as well. Like
that's a
with
massive part of it.
someone that knows what they're on
Has to
about,
be.
where
Has to be.
where they can go, "Oh, look, I can see your data saying this. Why don't you try this
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
shaft or
yeah,
this club?"
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
it makes so much difference getting someone who knows what they're doing.
yeah.
And Jason did 100%. Like he's
It's
he's
so
an
cool.
expert.
It's so cool. Like that was the thing that blew me away when I did my fitting and ended up with the Callaway Apex irons, is that and an iron fitting, it's not about distance, right? Like because
Mm.
it's about gapping, but it's about dispersion.
Yep.
So you want tight dispersion with your, particularly with your shorter irons for scoring. But the other thing which was really interesting that I hadn't even really thought about, knew anything about, was descent angle. So
Right.
whereas with your driver, you might be looking at launch angle, apex, and carry distance, etc. With the irons, was actually looking at descent angle and trying to get
Right.
a steeper descent angle
Okay.
coming into the green for stopping power.
Yeah.
So
Right.
whilst
Okay.
maintaining the same carry distance, but if you can get it dropping steeper,
Yep.
then you're going to stop it faster.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
that was really interesting as well as looking at that on the track, man. Yeah, just all those little golf nerdy bits that are
Yeah.
so incredibly cool about our game.
Yeah. 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 And you can completely nerd out
Oh,
on
mate.
in a golf fitting. There's no question.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Wow, this is huge.
Yeah.
Said it
It
again.
is.
Really
Even
is.
if it was just that for this
I
episode, we
know.
could wrap up and that would be huge.
But
But
that is not it.
but wait, there's more.
And it's not a set of steak knives. Andy Walker, I believe that you went to visit one of our favorite pilgrims,
I did.
Ted from Mollymook. Tell me
Correct.
all
Yep.
about it.
No, we had a trip down to Mollymook, took the family down there over the Anzac Day, took the Friday off.
Nice.
Had a stern word to my boss and just said I'm not coming in on Friday.
Fair enough
Uh,
too.
yeah,
Flip him the
yeah,
bird,
yeah.
honestly.
He didn't take it too well, but
But he went
that's
with you.
life. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Weirdly.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
So went down to Mollymook. Had a game at Mollymook at the Hill course on
I love
Friday
that
morning.
course. Such a good course.
And interestingly, of course, with the Titleist fitting, they did say that Titleist standard sort of delivery time frame is 20 days, so a month, or
Oof.
20 business days, I should say, so a month. But he said, we're getting sort of these clubs back maybe in 2.5 weeks, so you might get them back in the first week of May. A
Mm,
week, a week. He gave me a call and said the clubs
turned
are in.
up. Interested, were they like shorter shaft? Yes, but standard lie.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty
So it's
standard. Yeah,
pretty easy for them to put together. Then they haven't had to
yeah.
bend anything and make it too
No,
funky. So
no,
yeah, that probably
no,
helps.
no. So yeah, so I actually got them before I went down to Mollymook, which was
Oh,
yeah, I was pretty pumped for my
now
round down at Mollymook.
here's the thing: that Mollymook, obviously your course growing up,
Yes,
the new Titleist driver, fairway, and utility iron gets its first run
yes,
down on your old stomping ground. There's something
yeah,
nice about that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very very
That's cool.
serendipitous.
That is cool.
Mm. Yeah. So anyway, look, it's I didn't play badly, but I didn't play great.
Mm,
I actually had on the front nine. I was three over and had two doubles,
mm.
which wasn't ideal. Still, I felt like I
It
hit the
can
ball
happen
pretty.
at Mollymook though.
Yeah, yeah. I felt as though I hit it reasonably, but just my yeah, every time I made a birdie or a couple of birdies, I just threw it back.
Yeah.
And so I turned three over, birdie 10, got it back to two over, and went, okay, well, maybe I might better get something to happen. Bogeyed 13, bogeyed 14, and just going, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Then I bogeyed
So
16.
14's that nightmare of a sloping green, isn't it? Whereas if you're
Yeah,
above the
yeah,
hole, you're just dead.
and I three putted.
Yeah.
That was the main issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I bogeyed 16, and then bogeyed 17, and birdied 18. So yeah, and interesting because a lot of the bogeys that I was having were only from wedge out. Like it wasn't
Mm.
like I was hitting because I actually played from the yellow tees, which is the first time I played from the yellow
Oh
tees
yeah,
at
right. Yeah.
Mollymook.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I've actually been listening to a lot of golf commentators that say you should actually play from the front tees and play an easier course so that you score better and get used to
Get
scoring
used to
better.
go. Michael talked about that last week.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Exactly that point. Yeah.
So I've been trying to play off different tees. And it does. You get into a position where you score better, and yeah, you just start to get used to scoring better. So I always used to play off the plates.
Yeah.
almost every single time I'd go, oh, no, the
Because
further
you're a
back the better.
man.
And that's pretty much what it was. Yeah. Well, it was sort of more, I just want to test myself, and I, the harder it
Yeah.
is, the bigger
The
the
better it's going to
test.
make me.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily that accurate. So when you start looking at
Mm,
it from a couple of different perspectives, then you start going, well, you know, is that the best way to go forward? Is that the best way to improve your game? And if you end up, being 3, 4, 5 under, if you're not used to being 3, 4, 5 under,
mm.
that's going to maybe have a detriment to to your finishing well or finishing strong, as sort of I've found out
As
over
we
over
have
the past
seen.
couple of
As we have
comp
seen.
rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I played off the yellows, so it was a relatively easy setup. So I did have a number of wedges into greens,
Mm,
and yeah, there were a number of bogeys where I only had wedge into the green, which was pretty disappointing. So I had 5 over. And I just felt like I left a lot out there.
mm.
I felt like that was probably the worst I could have had. Which
Mm.
at the end of the day,
It's
I've
not bad.
said, yeah, I've
It's good.
said for a little while now, if I break 80, I'm happy
Yeah.
at with the amount of practice that I've had over the last 25 years. And to go out and shoot 77 and go, well, that's actually the worst I could have had. I wasn't overly disappointed. And look, it was a really enjoyable round. Played with Ted from Mollymook, played with a couple of other members, really good company. Beautiful day. We had a really absolutely stunning morning.
Mm.
And yeah, it was great to be alive.
Oh, mate, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's very cool. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot, Andy Walker.
There's a lot
So
in there. A lot in
yeah,
there.
that's a lot to kick off with. I feel like we've talked a lot about you.
Yeah. Do you want to grab the mic and have a bit of a chat
Mm,
about your game for a little bit?
I think so. I think
All
so.
right.
So Pilgrims, um, where do we begin? So I had a comp round on Saturday, just gone. And for those of you who have been playing along at home and keeping your own score sheet, you would know that in the Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship, I won January, took 3 points. Andy Walker struck back in February, hence the title of one of our previous episodes, Andy Strikes Back. Uh, March, Andy Walker also took took a lead of 6-3 in the competition. April was up for grabs. Now we talked last or 2 episodes ago, whenever it was now, about your uh, very impressive even par round
Yes.
with 100% gross
Mm.
differential difference.
And I did feel that was going to take a fair bit of beating.
It was going to take a fair bit of beating because, to be honest, that means that I've also got to shoot a scratch round. It's a little bit harder. It's a few shots less under the handicap than you've had to
I
go.
I didn't make the rules. I'm
I
just
know.
playing by them.
I am personally regretting the rules that I made at this point. So I had a mountain to
Mm,
climb
yep.
coming into this round on Saturday. What I did do, Andy Walker, is just grab a short recording at the course before
Oh,
I
nice.
teed off.
Yep.
Um, so I think, there's no harm in cutting to that now and seeing how, what is it now, 4 days ago, me was feeling before the round commenced. So
All
let's
right.
go there now.
Let's have a listen.
Just finished the warm up at the course. Another cracking day. Warm up's been good. Swing feels pretty good. Putts are rolling well, but one little issue is that the greens have freshly been scarified. So look, not cored, not top dressed, just scarified. So there's a little tram tracks running around. Let's just hope that doesn't cause too many problems. But other than that, looks like being a cracking day. Although, yeah, should probably point out we are playing holes 10 to 27. So that's going to do some things to the scratch rating for the course. I think it's a par 70 playing as a scratch rating of 68. So that means I'm going to have to shoot 2 under par if I'm any chance of even equaling Andy Walker's 100% differential percentage. So, yeah, job to do. Let's go. So, there you go. Interesting frog noises in the background as well of that recording. Andy Walker, I was obviously near the wetlands on one of the holes there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it was not ideal. I didn't know that we were
Mm.
playing holes 10 to 27 um, when I put my name down for the round, and I still would have played, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
It doesn't change anything, but it obviously makes task that much harder. It's an interesting one because the rating is less, and we had a bit of a chat during the week about how course ratings are developed, and it is a combination of distance as well as the perception of difficulty. Uh, I would question whether or not the third nine at my home course is in fact any easier than any of the other 2 nines. I really don't
Mm.
feel it is. It also has quite a bit of water. It has out of bounds down both sides of a number of holes, a couple of par fours, and a par five with OB down both sides. I don't feel like that really makes things too easy quite a lot of the time.
No, it
Um,
certainly doesn't make, yeah, and when it's down both sides, when you've got no
yeah, there's no
bailout at
miss. There's no
all,
miss. Yeah.
then yeah, that's not conducive to an easier golf course, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some shorter par fours, a couple of the holes, but they're usually in conjunction with having OB down one side and water down the other, or something like that. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Like I question that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
yeah.
We played the round. I also did a quick recording at the end of the round, Andy Walker.
Okay.
So rather than me break
Yep.
it down, shall we go back into the time machine, take ourselves back, and hear about what happened from the man himself?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Okay. Round is over. I'm back home. Been a long day, but a good day. A lot of fun out there. Front nine was pretty solid. Went around in 39, so 4 over par. Pretty happy with that. Um, yeah, and look, things were okay on the back. Unfortunately, made a silly double. Made a silly double on 14, which was annoying after a great drive. Split the fairway, and then my worst iron shot of the day, poor chip, and then a silly putt, missed the putt. So that was disappointing to make double. But other than that, pretty solid. Finished with a 79. 79, pretty good round. I'm pretty happy anytime I break 80, even though it was past 70. But a 79, I struck the ball well. I didn't feel like I putted great today, and I think probably my short game was probably the area of weakness. But ball striking, yeah, ball striking really coming along well, so that was good. But look, 79, it's not enough to track down the great Andy Walker with his 100% differential. So looks as though the month of April will go down as a loss to me and a win to Mr. Walker. Congratulations. I think it's fair to say you can really hear a heartfelt congratulations at the end of that recording, Andy Walker.
Yeah, look, and I do sympathize with your situation.
Yeah, yeah, of course you do. That was equally as up. Now
No,
there was
no,
something. There
no,
was
no,
something.
I actually don't.
Yeah, there was something that was mentioned. A couple of things I want to call out from this round of golf that was quite interesting. So something I mentioned in that recording where I said I struck the ball. I felt like I struck the ball well,
Yeah.
um, but probably short game let me down.
Mm.
Just want to run you through the strokes gained result
Yep.
from the round. Now, it's saying off the tee, I was minus 0.08. And I do want to call out it's minus 0.08, not
Yes. Not
minus
minus.
0.8. It's minus 0.08. So it
Yep.
is as close as it could possibly be to scratch level driving off the tee.
Nice.
Okay, which is good. In recent rounds, that's been floating around the 2.5-ish kind of level. So that was an improvement. Definitely felt like I drove the ball better than beforehand. But where there were
Nice.
real
Mm.
gains, Andy Walker, was with the exception of on 14 with my iron play and approach shots. because my strokes gain there was a positive 0.44. So I gained
Nice.
nearly half a shot on a scratch
Nice.
golfer with irons
Mm.
in hand. And I've got to say, that's the best I've probably ever hit my irons consistently throughout a whole round. It's hitting the ball well.
So I'm feeling then that the next two stats aren't going to be particularly
Well,
complementary.
well, it's interesting because obviously the stats are suggesting that a scratch player would not have shot scratch around this course. It disagrees with the scratch rating, obviously,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
because it was saying that my putting was positive 0.14.
Okay.
Now, that's a bit lower than what it's been. And to be fair, I did miss two putts that I should have made. I did
Mm.
also make two really good putts on 17 and
Yep.
18,
Yep.
which pulled it back a little bit. But I did miss a couple, one of them being the one on 14 that I talked about in that recording. But short game, Andy Walker, minus 4.82.
Mm.
That's where it was. David McClelland, you are correct. Short game, short game, short game.
Yep.
But look, you know, all in all, you got to play your own game
You
in
do.
golf.
Mm.
And I'm not hung up on trying to shoot an even par round to match your 100% differential, because that was probably a stretch target to begin with.
Mm.
And I do, as we've both said on a number of occasions, feel happy to shoot a score that starts with a seven, not
Yeah.
on a particular hole, but on an entire round.
Sure. Sure. Yep.
So I thought that was pretty good, but that unfortunately, because of the scratch rating being a 78 instead of a 70, meant that my differential was 10.2 against a handicap index of 8.5. So it was minus 20%.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I feel like I got a little bit Rochambeau'd on that.
Mm.
But
Mm.
you know,
And,
that's
and I'm
golf.
assuming you mean the scratch rating was 68, not 78.
That is exactly what I mean. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you for picking that up. Otherwise, Steve from
That's
Lane
a that's a
Cove probably would
that's a
have got that one for
pretty
us.
pretty
Oh, it's
difficult.
a tough course. It's a tough
Yeah,
course if you're
difficult
plus eight on
course.
the scratch
Yeah.
rating. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
68, 68. So yeah, there it was. That was my last comp round for the month. So that handed
Yeah.
you the victory.
Thank you.
Which
Thank
which
thank you very
really
much.
really only left you with one option, and that was to run around for a victory lap.
Yeah, which I did actually on last day of April. Decided to just to sneak in one
Oh,
last round, and
oh.
at the end of the day, it didn't really, well, I can't say it didn't mean anything, but certainly it was,
I think it
yeah,
meant everything, to be honest.
it was just a victory lap. That's really all it was, just to
Yeah.
go, you know what, I can go out and play, and it doesn't really matter what I
So
shoot because
no pressure.
yeah, the win was in the bag for April.
Yeah.
So yeah, just playing for cream on the top.
How do we want to tell this story, Andy Walker?
Well, interestingly, because I just completely forgot to do any
Oh
sort of
no.
recording. So we
I
are,
can understand it though.
yeah,
I can totally
yeah.
understand it.
So I was in my element. I was in the moment, and I just thought, yeah. Well, I didn't really think. I just went out and played.
In the
To be honest with
zone,
you,
ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen. In the zone.
yeah. So
Infamous
anyway,
zone.
no, look, it was a good, and I was expecting to get wet to be honest, because the weather forecast wasn't particularly good.
Mm.
So I was sort of half expecting to get wet, but we were pretty fortunate in that we didn't. I must say, about an hour after we got in, it just bucketed down for the afternoon.
Oh,
And
and didn't it? Didn't it
yeah,
though?
I didn't internally or externally smile about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think how do we want to tell this story? I think the answer to that question is I think we can just give a broad brush highlights package of the front nine, perhaps.
yeah,
But then I want to go
go
hole
deep.
by hole. I want to go
Mm,
hole by hole for the second nine
yeah.
because there are some demons that
Mm,
have been at play in
yes.
this
Over the
period
last couple of comp rounds.
over recent
Yeah.
weeks, and I
Yeah.
think there's some unpacking here that we need to do.
Mm.
So yeah, give me the highlights package of the front nine, Andy Walker.
Okay.
Talk me through it.
So standard, pretty regulation par on the first. Made a bogey at two. Pretty standard par at three. Birdied four. So I was pretty
Ooh.
happy to get back to
So hang on,
square.
what are we up to now? Square. Yep.
Square. Yep. Birdied five, one under. So here
Look
we
out.
are under par again.
Look out.
And
Uncomfortable.
yeah, made par at six, made par at seven, made par at eight.
Nice. Solid.
Then,
Solid.
then made a bit of a disappointing bogey at nine. And I have to say, I had a bit of a chunk with my chip. I hit it to the right of the green and just hit it a bit chunky and left
Uh,
myself a pretty long putt. And to be honest with you, I left the putt about 2 meters short, and I had to make a 2 meter
ooh.
make a 2 meter putt for bogey.
The bogey
So
save, the 2 meter bogey
yeah,
save.
yeah.
Ooh.
So I was look at the end of the day, I walked off more sort of wiping my brow, going, "Well, I'm still even past, so that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a
But the
bad
the
front nine."
demons are they gotta be there somewhere,
Yeah,
just kind of going, apart for a bit.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got you back though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I was under par and I bogeyed nine to get it back to even par. So yeah, it wasn't an under par nine. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but look, that's golf. We're practicing acceptance, so got to just move forward. So
Easier said than
then,
done.
yeah, so then on 10, I actually hit a really good drive, really good four iron to the front sort of edge of the green. And I felt as though I hit a reasonably good chip, and it just got on the wrong side of the hole and ran about 15 foot past the hole, which I was pretty
Uh,
disappointed about. It should have been a relatively straightforward up and down, but it ended up being a par. But, move on.
so it's
Pretty
par
good
par five, yeah?
par
Par five.
five, yeah.
Par
Yeah.
five. Yeah.
Um,
I'm still
pretty
even. I'm still even.
Yeah, pretty solid regulation. Well, I was actually just off the fringe for two on a par four,
Mm.
uh, and couple. I was able to putt it. Couple of putts made par.
Stress
Fairly,
free. Love it.
yeah, fairly similar story on 12. 12 is a par three. I was just off the fringe, but probably only about 18 feet from the hole, so not too far. And again, a relatively stress-free two putt for par. So
Nice.
then we stand up on 13, and 13, as you know, I've struggled a bit on 13.
Water up the left.
Yeah, water up the left, bunkers down the right, and it was
Yeah.
downwind, right? So
What did you?
I
What club did you pull?
I and the bunkers
Was
from
this the
and
utility iron
no,
moment of
no,
glory, or did you pull driver?
the the tees were a little bit forward, right? And I
Yeah.
had about sort of 225 to carry the furthest bunker, and I thought, you know what, I didn't want to hit driver. But I pulled out my four
To
fairway.
drive.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I pulled out the four fairway because I felt as though I had more control with the four fairway. I'd
Right.
hit a reasonably good four fairway up the off the tee on 11. So I was feeling
Yep.
relatively confident with it. This is also the hole that I've gone back to hitting four iron off the tee just
Yes.
because it's just done my
Yes.
head in.
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought you
felt
were going
real.
to tell me you were hitting 7 iron or something,
No,
but
no,
four
no, no,
fairway. I'm happy
didn't.
with that.
Yeah, so I pulled out the four fairway
Mm.
and duck hook
No.
into the water. Yeah,
No.
it was my worst shot of the
No.
day. Yeah, and it
Oh.
crossed the hazard only about 100 meters in front of the tee.
No.
It was my worst shot of the round. It was rank.
Oh.
It was bad. So I got down there and I was still 220 to the flag. So I've
Keep the
taken the
same club
drop.
in your hand.
I took a drop, but well, we were downwind, right?
Okay. Okay.
So the four fairway was actually too much club. So
Oh, I
I took
can't
a
believe you've
drop.
duck hooked it.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
just not okay.
No, I wasn't feeling okay, but we're practicing acceptance. So I'd accepted it by the
I
time I
know.
got down
I
and
am
taken
struggling
my
to
drop.
accept it at the moment. I'm still going through the walk up to, well, it's only a 100-meter walk. I should be there by now.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
So and I had to drop it in, sort of sat down a little bit, which would normally, have struggled to hit a long iron
mm,
out of that lie, but I've got my utility iron,
your
and I
game
thought
improvement iron
this
is
is
perfect.
perfect, absolutely perfect. So I've actually hit quite a good three utility to the right. It was sort of started at the right side of the green and just sort of faded a little bit on the wind. To probably, I probably, was only maybe 20 yards to the green, sorry, to the pin, but I had to just hit a little 58 chip. There was a little bit of rough. I couldn't putt it,
Couldn't
so I
putt
just hit
through.
this
Yeah.
little sort of chip over the rough and managed to hit it probably about 2 meters past again. So I had a 2 meter
Mm,
putt for bogey
mm.
and made it.
Made it. Yes. So maybe you
So
don't need the lab putter. That's
So I was
possible.
actually again similar to nine. It was one of those holes where I just walked off, just wiped the brow and went, you know
Would have been
what?
a double so easily.
That's my bogey hole. I only made bogey on it. Could have been a double or worse. So at the end of the
So what are you
day,
now? Are
let's move
you
on.
one over now? Is that
One over. Yeah.
one over?
And
One
that's
over.
what I was sort of I was thinking, certainly after I took the drop, I was just thinking, okay, just somehow make bogey. Don't make double. Just somehow make bogey. And that was my whole focus,
Mm,
which I managed to do. So, one over, I was like, all right, one over with five to play. That's still reasonable.
mm.
So then 14, I've hit a relatively short par four. I've hit a three utility off the tee, drilled the three utility off the tee.
Mm.
Hit a 58 degree wedge to about a meter.
Nice.
Made the putt back to
Nice.
square.
Back to even. Oh,
So
four to play.
even with four to play now, this is where I've been having a few little issues.
Yes.
So a
Yes.
couple of deep breaths, focused on the info from Michael Leonard, focused on the info, mental golf type, and my process, and making sure that I'm following those steps that I've put in place when I've got under a bit of pressure.
Did you
So
think about it? Like, did you consciously think about it at this point? Like, were you at
no,
that point going,
no, no, I actually
I'm
didn't.
even with four to play.
I knew
Let's
I knew I
learn the
was even
lessons of the last few
no,
weeks.
no. In fact, I sort of so we talked to
Did you
when I talked
meditate
to
at this point on
no,
in between holes?
no, certainly didn't meditate. But what I did do, I thought about the conversation I'd had with Scotty Fisher. And
Get
he sort of
greedy.
yeah
Get
so
greedy.
so
I
and it,
remember
and it
that.
wasn't it wasn't necessarily because greedy is probably not a word that I would normally use, but aggressive, so stay
Mm,
aggressive. And I think I mentioned Tiger Woods and the way he plays golf, in that swing aggressively to conservative
conservative
targets.
targets. Yep.
That was my mindset. It was like, okay, stay
Yep.
aggressive, stay patient, swing aggressively to conservative targets, sort of, the John Sherman type of
Bob
target.
Rotella says the same thing.
Yeah,
We talked about it last
yep,
week. Pick
yep,
conservative target, swing cocky.
yep. So anyway, on 15, par five, again, utility three off the tee, absolutely
Interesting.
drilled it. And this was into the wind. We were into a bit of a southerly, so it was
Hit the
a
stinger.
relatively long hole. Hit a four iron down the fairway, then just hit a nice little punch eight iron to
Ooh,
about 10 feet.
nice.
Yeah. Hold it.
Oh, one under.
One under. Thinking,
Three to
okay,
three to play. Three to play.
that worked. Yeah, three to play. Took out my driver on 16. Now,
Ooh,
driver, as you know, I've been having a few issues with driver, but I've got the TSR3, and
different
I
driver. It's a
felt
different driver.
I felt
Different game.
relatively confident with it, and I've hit a pretty good shot down the left-hand side of the fairway. I was only 62 meters to the flag, which I hit a bit of an ordinary 58 degree to probably about 18 feet. I was a bit disappointed with the shot, but lagged it down and made the short
Still,
putt.
still, which is good. No harm done. But
Yeah.
18 feet, you're on the green. You're in pretty safe two putt range.
Mm. Yep.
It's not a shot to be disappointed with.
No. No, no. And again, once I'd hit it, it was like, okay, let's accept it. That's what you've done. You're going to hit bad
Yeah.
shots.
But it's
Or
well and truly within your sphere of standard deviation
yeah,
for
absolutely.
that club. So it's
Yeah,
a decent shot.
yeah, 100%. So walked off 16, one under. 17. Now, 17 is a tricky little par three. It's actually surrounded by water and on, so all the way around the
It's
front,
not filling me with confidence, Andy Walker.
right hand side, and then around the back is all water. There's a bunker on the left hand side, and then just a skinny little sort of walkway to get onto the green and then to get off. So, you
Sounds
know,
like you're playing TPC Sawgrass.
it's sort of it's not as brutal as TPC Sawgrass, but it's not an easy hole. And if you think about the pin position that they normally have at
Mm,
TPC Sawgrass, it was hard right
mm.
up
Like
against
two
the
steps on, 2 steps off
yeah,
the side. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the green actually slopes down towards the water. So it's not an
Can't go
easy
at it.
shot. So I had 126 meters to the pin,
Okay.
and I just aimed at sort of
What'd you
middle.
hit?
Not I just hit a little punch 9-iron. It was slightly
Yeah.
into the wind. Little punch 9-iron just to flight it under the wind to probably about 30 feet. Was just on the left hand side of the green,
Solid.
and just sort of lagged my putt down there to maybe half a meter and knocked
Tapped her
that
in.
in.
Nice.
Knocked her in.
One under, Andy Walker, one under, one to play.
Yes, yes. Now, 18,
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Come on.
18 at my home club. It's about 380 odd meters. Water all the way down the left hand side. So, not great for
Oh
my
no.
little snappy.
Leave the four fairway in the bag, Andy Walker.
Took the three utility.
Ooh, really?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Okay.
And tried to hit my little stinger.
Stinger.
Overdrew it,
No.
was going towards the water. I saw it
No.
bounce and I didn't see it finish.
Oh
And I was
no.
going,
Oh no. Oh no.
anyway, walked down there and it was probably in by about what sorry, it was in the
In
rough
the
by
water?
about no, not in the water. It was out of the water in the rough about 5 meters from
Come
the
on.
water.
We're alive.
So,
Come on. Come
so I
on.
was like, okay, deep breaths. I'm good. Had 155 into the flag again into the wind. Again, flighted a little sort of 6-iron and
Nice.
absolutely drilled it at the flag. Like
No, you
as
haven't
soon
overhit it, have you?
no, no, as soon as I hit it, I went, I'm shooting subpar today.
Come on.
Anyway, it did end up a little bit sort of short, probably about 18 feet short. And I got up there and I, had a look at the putt
Yeah.
slightly left to right. And I thought, all right, this is in my ballpark. I'm feeling good with the putter. I'm just gonna, give this a nice roll, good speed. I hit it, and halfway there, I've put the arm up, finger up.
Yes. Come
Never
on.
looked like going anywhere
Oh,
else but in the middle of the hole.
get in the hole, Andy Walker. Two under par.
Two under par and three under in the last five holes.
Wow.
Giddy up is what I have to say to
Oh,
that.
this is huge.
It is huge. It is huge. And you know what? First time in probably, well, more than 25 years I've shot under par. I actually got a bit emotional.
I
Yeah.
want to
On the
find.
18th green. I actually went, put my putter in the bag with the flag stick because I was first to putt out. And I came back and I was just like, started to like tears started to well, even just thinking about it
Oh,
now, I'm starting to like, tears are like
just
I
so
just
good.
got really, really emotional about it. So
So good.
yeah,
I'm going to
obviously
find some emotional music to put in the background of this somehow in post edit because
it
this story
yeah,
deserves it. That's amazing.
obviously it meant a lot more than what I'd sort of wanted to admit. But yeah, it was massive. It was huge.
It's huge.
Um, first under par round. So I've just absolutely chopped my handicap. Like I'm actually now down to 2.5, which is the lowest I've been. I've gone back. You can go back 5 years with the sort of handicap Golf Australia handicap index, and it's lower than what it's been in more than 5 years. So
That's
um,
amazing.
yeah, giddy
So
up.
good.
So just to put a bit of
Speechless.
cream on the cake.
Just for fun, I've
Yeah.
run this through the Missing Links Golf Show computer, and you were you were playing off an index of 3.4 today.
Yes.
That was a gross differential of minus 1.6,
Yep.
which, ladies and gentlemen, gives a differential percentage of 147%. Not only does that take the cake for the month of April, but I'm going to say right here and now that that round will not be beaten by me this year. I feel like you could do it and probably will. But that is pretty much locked you in for the bonus 4 points for the round of the year and made it a
Nice.
very, very, very big mountain to climb.
Mm, mm.
At this point. It is a remarkable, remarkable round of golf, Andy Walker. It is absolutely massive in season one of the Missing Links Golf Show
Yep.
for one of us to go subpar.
Yeah.
And I think I think so much about this, so much about this. But one thing that really stands out is that your reaction to it not only is just an indication that you obviously care and it's been a while and
Yeah.
it's a hell of a round of golf and all of those things. But I think the fact that the last couple of rounds you haven't been able to keep it under par after
Yeah.
having a good shot at it, that
Mm,
just builds the pressure. And then what you feel as a result of that is that release of all the pressure and all the buildup that you don't even realize the
mm.
tension that you're carrying with you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is a massive, massive monkey off the back.
Mm. Yeah. I sort of, feel, like Adam Scott felt when he won the Masters, after,
He's up.
blowing after blowing the 4 shot lead in the Open. Like that,
Uh,
that's how I feel at the moment,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. And in that dream, I now exit stage right out of the podcast, and Iona Stevens comes in to do the 18 holes with
Yeah.
Iona, just like she
Yeah.
did with Adam Scott after the
Yeah.
Masters and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to happen.
I can see it.
Oh wow! But I'll tell you what, though, it just It changes the game.
Yeah, it
Like
does. It
it
does. 100%
absolutely,
does.
absolutely changes the entire and as I said, there's a lot here to think about
Mm.
because you know this round, I'll probably say this round would not have happened if this podcast never started.
Oh, there's no chance. I mean, I've always said that give me 12 months of consistent, dedicated practice, and I reckon I could get back to playing where I was sort of 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
No question. I felt like I still had it, within me to be able to play, golf like that. But this has been like 6 months, and it certainly isn't full-time practice. It's still fitting golf in around our lives and around work and around family.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been consistent. I've been pretty persistent. I've had well, not a written plan, but certainly I've had a plan of what I wanted to do.
yeah,
And the steps I've taken have been pretty deliberate. And I just now think, all right, well, that's in 6 months.
yes,
What's next? Like, where am I? And I briefly mentioned it with Michael Launer last week. Is that, my stretch goal this year was to get down, 1-2 handicap. Well,
no,
I think
it's out
that
the
bar's
window.
way too low.
It's
Like,
way too low or way too
now
high.
I'm sort of thinking, the lowest I ever got to was +1. Yeah, it was under a different handicapping system. But I'm actually thinking, well, why can't I get to plus two? Why can't I get to the lowest handicap that I've ever been?
There's no reason. And that has to be the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I think
it
so.
has to be the goal.
I think that's the new well there's two stretch goals that I think I've got now is that one lowest handicap that I've ever been. But I would love to play in the New South Wales Senior Open, as we talked about sort of a couple of weeks ago.
It's
If I
got to
can
happen.
snare one of those qualifying now, look, I've got four chances, and it's top two in each, so it's still
It's tough.
a relative long shot. Like I've got to play pretty good. I'd have to shoot under par
Mm.
in a designated one of those designated four events
Tournament conditions.
tournament conditions. So, we're talking from club competition to tournament
Yeah.
conditions. So I'm not saying it's in the bag or that it should be easy or whatever. It's still tough, but I still think that, from, a couple of weeks ago when I was sort of going, oh yeah, I'll give it a crack, to now going, well, why not? Like I've just shot subpar. Why not?
100%. And not only that though, okay, is that you've shot subpar. The previous round was even par, and a couple of rounds before that was like one or two over.
Two over. So I've
Two over.
gone two over, even par, two under. So my next
Yeah.
round's got to be four under.
You're conveniently skipping the Macquarie Cup rounds that were in the middle of that. But anyway,
Yeah. Uh,
that literally was
that's
a story for another day.
minor detail.
But it is not a outlandish goal. It's absolutely not. Um, Definitely worth chasing.
Mm.
Absolutely worth chasing.
So yeah, so that's sort of what I'm thinking at the moment. And yeah, we'll, haven't really sort of looked sort of too far past that. Obviously, next year, got a reasonably big birthday for yourself, so we can both sort of start looking at playing in some
Mm,
senior events, and that
mm,
might become a bit more of a regular occurrence. But yeah, certainly for this year,
mm.
I've certainly raised the bar in my own expectations and goals for myself. Which I mean, look at
I think you have. Yeah, absolutely
yeah,
have.
and
Yeah.
and look at the end of the day, I think I don't think it's just me. I think we both have. I mean, if you look at your results over the last 6 months, I mean, what are you down now to, like, did I say 8.2?
8.4. I'm at the moment.
8.4.
8.4, which is the lowest that I've ever gotten to.
Yeah. So,
Like by well, before when we started the show, I was at 10.
yeah.
And that was the lowest. Well, 9.9 was the lowest that
Mm,
I'd gotten to, and I bounced out by zero point 0.1. But
yeah.
um,
But you were also in
absolutely.
danger. You had a couple of good rounds dropping out, so you're in
Yes.
danger of actually,
Yes. I could have easily been at 12.
yeah, absolutely. And not only did you hold on to the 10
Yeah.
handicap, you've actually now lowered it to 8.4.
Yes.
So, I mean, 6 months ago when we started this podcast, can you honestly say that you would have thought that you'd be an 8.4 handicap golfer?
Um, I wanted to. Obviously, that was a big part of the goal. I wanted, I'd set my sights on ideally getting into the sevens by the end of
Mm,
this year.
yeah.
Um,
See, again, I think that
no,
you
now it's
need to,
five. It's now five.
yeah, you've got to set that bar that needs to be higher.
I'm going to send you a photo, which is fantastic live podcasting. And I'm going to send you this as we speak. It's on its way. Because I've written my goals down.
Nice, nice.
I've taken a literal leaf out of Ted's book and Ted from Mollymook, and I've written them down. And what I have said in there, which again, I kind of go, you know, this is all up for review. I've written down for outcome goals, and I've got some outcome goals. I've got some process goals.
Yep.
one you can control and one you can't. Outcome goals, handicap to be less than 6 by February of 2025. I've picked February. I had originally written end of 2024. I changed it to February 2025 because that is when the 50th happens, and that is when I qualify for senior tournaments. I've also got to break 75 in a comp round this year.
Nice. Yep.
As a goal, even though it makes me nervous putting something like that down because I know I did myself a disservice with the break 80 stuff a year or so ago, but I got over that, and I feel like I can get over that with this too. It's in my head anyway, so I may as well write it down. Maintain positive strokes gained against scratch in putting. Have strokes gains approach at -2 or better. Strokes gain off the tee at -1.5 or better. Strokes gain short game at -1 or better. There's work to do there. And then process goals. There's a lot to do with sort of practice preparation and various things. I'm not going to bore everyone with the gritty details, but it's for me now this year it's into the 5s, and the funny thing is even that's feeling a bit I don't know what the right word is. It's definitely not easy, but it's feeling a bit like it needs stretch. Because for the very, very first time ever, I am legitimately, and I know this sounds ridiculous sitting at 8.4, but the way that I'm hitting the ball at the moment, I'm legitimately thinking about scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think one of the first episodes that we had that discussion when you had the doubts in your mind, I said that, you're doing yourself a disservice by not taking your previous cricketing experience into golf, because I think that's, and that competitive spirit, that mindset, I think has put you so far above
It
where you,
helps. It definitely helps. It helps in the pressure moments, I think, because you can deal with it a little bit better.
yeah,
But it is
you,
a
you know,
different
you know how
game.
to.
It's a different game though. So, there's a lot of things. But I just like I reflect back on like what you've achieved in this round. It is huge. And I know we've used that phrase, and we're gonna name the episode "This is huge"
Yeah.
because it's huge.
Mm.
But it's done two things for me. It's reframed a lot of my thinking about just how much improvement, and it's legitimate improvement too. It's not just a lucky round. Like it's genuine improvement
Yeah.
that we've been able to generate in a short amount of time just because we've focused
Yes.
and as you say, being consistent with it, but like paid attention to it. We've spoken to some really good people.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
the knowledge that has come from the interviews with Michael last week, with John Weir before that, with Josh Nichols before that, with
Yeah.
with Neil before that, with Scotty, with Dave. Everyone's added a bit, and I know I've taken a bit from all of them. Like the understanding of the mental scorecard that I took from Neil.
Yep.
That made a huge difference. But then that's been refined with the conversations with people like Josh and with John and Mike and whatnot. And it's just I see the game differently now when I'm out
Yeah.
there. And
Yep.
I'm not making the stupid boneheaded errors strategically on the course that I was making that was causing blow up holes all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
more than one in a round.
Mm.
And that's the difference. And
Yep.
I know there's more to come. And there's definitely skill building for me with being more consistent with ball striking and obviously around short game.
Yeah.
There is, I have no doubt that with focus and improvement in that area, I could drop another, probably 3 or 4 shots just on that alone.
Yep.
So that's where I go, you know what, for the very first time ever, I feel like it's not a stupid goal.
Yeah.
And that change, that is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's massive. It's massive. When you start believing in it,
Yeah.
and when you start believing that, you have the ability to achieve
Yeah.
that goal, that is a game changer.
Because your
100%.
brain
That's
will
a game changer.
recognize BS a mile off. And,
Yeah.
if you're trying to go, oh, I'm going to be a tour pro next year, it'll go, no, you're not. Dude, seriously, get a grip.
Yeah.
But when you go, actually, no, I can do this. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really
Well,
cool.
was it? And Michael quoted last week And I forget who it was then
Oh,
quoted, but
I heard this. I know the quote you mean. Yeah, I heard this. Yeah.
yeah, was that your mind doesn't implant a goal that your body can't
Can't
achieve.
achieve. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I heard that, and I thought, wow, that's cool. That is cool.
So and when you start believing in what you can achieve, like you've done in becoming a scratch handicapper, there's a reason why your mind has put that goal and put that in your head, and that is because you can achieve it.
You know what
Like
else it's
there's
done?
no question.
You know what else it's done, Andy Walker? It's actually given me some additional, I don't know that motivation's the right word, but like
Mm.
push on the training and development side that I
Yep.
kind of go, oh, and I'm not going to just dance around the edges of this anymore. I actually want to get stuck into it.
Yep.
Um, so all of that is related to everything that's been going on over the last couple of weeks. And it's all related also to that fantastic round of golf that you've played today.
Mm.
You've inspired yourself. You've inspired me. I hope you've inspired a pilgrim or two. But there's a couple of quotes that I actually want to share with you from our last episode,
Okay.
and
Yep.
a couple of observations. Okay.
Yep.
Um, and I will start with one that Michael finished with. And when I heard it, and I went, far out, this guy's cool. Like he he's amazing. And he says, you guys will achieve your goals, but don't expect it to be easy. He said, you cannot fail if you keep going.
Yeah.
And I love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
He's known us for an hour and he already believes
Yes.
that this can happen. That's cool. We obviously talk a good game, even if we don't play it sometimes. Um, Now, there's another one that he says, and this is when we're talking about self perception. And he said, be very careful about the words we say to ourselves.
Mm.
And there is a line that I want to pull up that I've heard you say in a few episodes,
Right.
and it needs to stop, and it needs to stop today.
Okay.
And that phrase is back when I was playing seriously.
Yeah. Interesting. Mm.
Andy Walker, you are
Playing
now
seriously.
playing
Mm.
seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Good pickup. And to be honest with you, I hadn't actually thought about that too much. Um, in fact, I hadn't thought about it at all, but it's a good pickup.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Wow.
There we
Are we
go.
done?
That's that is huge.
It's huge. I think on that note, um, I think that's I think that's a huge episode.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what more we can sort of pack into one
No,
episode.
no.
Certainly we'll give it a good crack, but that's a lot.
Mm. Big day. Big
Mm,
day.
big day.
Andy Walker, on behalf of myself, always one of my favorite phrases from Rex Mossop, because who else could I be on behalf of? But on behalf of myself, and I think it's fair to say all of the Pilgrims, an enormous, enormous congratulations on the very first subpar round in the
Mm,
history of the Missing Links Golf Show. Couldn't be prouder. Just
thank
amazing.
you. Yeah. Feeling good. Looking forward to what the next 6 months, 12 months, 5 years has to offer. I think there's
100%. It's
yeah
awesome.
gonna be a lot.
So cool. So cool. Anything else that you want to say to our Pilgrims?
Just the standard rock out, pilgrims.
Oh, yeah.